Hi, this is Ms. Goodale, and I'm going to do a short lesson today on plotting rational numbers on a number line. So with that said, when you're plotting something on a number line, you have to kind of look at how the numbers are spaced. So when I space my numbers, let's say I have 4 lines. And then my number. So when I space my numbers, if I look at how many are in between, that tells me what it's divided into. So if I had 4 spaces, then I would know that this is divided into fourths because 4 fourths equals 1 whole. Okay, so each of these, this would be 1/4, this would be 2/4, and remember, just kind of as a visual, 2/4 is equal to 1/2. 3/4, and then 1. So if I were asked to plot the points A equals 1/4, B equals 3/8, C equals 0.75, D equals 0.25. Okay, so in order to plot, let's do another one with the negative numbers too. Negative 3/4 and negative 5/8. Okay. For some reason, my screen is a little fuzzy today. Let me try to focus it in a little bit. Okay, that looks a little better maybe. Okay. So let's start with point A, 1/4. So we said this is divided into 4 pieces, which is each piece is 1/4 if you have 4 pieces. So my point would be 1/4, 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 1. And so I'd plot my point as a dot on the line, and then I'm going to put an A above it. I could also put my A below it, but when you are plotting points, you put a dot. It is called a point, not a line. So don't plot a point as a line. Plot a point as an actual dot or a point. B is 3/8. So this one I have to kind of figure out where 3/8 would be. Now I know that 2/8 equals 1/4. And if I compare that to another fourth, 3/8 is 1/4, and then it's half of another fourth. So it's actually going to be halfway in between here. That would make that be right halfway between 1/4 and 2/4, or 1/4 and 1/2. So I'm going to plot that point right there. Okay, C is 0.75. Now, in order to know what that is as compared to fourths, I'm going to make it into a fraction. So if you remember or review my lesson on changing from decimals to fractions, the place value of the 5 is the hundredths place, so you'd put it as 75 over 100, and you would reduce that. 75 and 100 can both be divided by 25, which makes that 3/4. Okay, so 3/4 is 1, 2/4, 3/4. That would be right here. So 0.75, letter C, would be right there on that line, that third line. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 0.75 goes there. D is 0.5, and again, it's 5. The 5 is in the tenths place, and then when I reduce it, 5/10 is equal to 1/2. And again, if you don't remember how to reduce, please go back to my other videos on that. So that's 1/2. So 1/4, remember 2/4 is equal to 1/2. So my D would be here. Now let's look at this one. This one's negative 3/4. So I start at 1/4, negative 1/4, negative 2/4, negative 3/4. Remember, the numbers go backwards when you go in the negative direction. And then F is 5/8. So I know 4/8 is equal to 2/4 or 1/2. Okay, so 5/8 would be just between 1/2 and 3/4. So I would put my negative 5/8 right here, because this would be 4/8 or 1/2. 5/8 would be halfway in between there. So that would be letter F. Okay. I hope that kind of clears up how to plot these points on a line. Remember, you plot them as dots. You decide how far spaced the numbers are, and use that as your guide. Okay, however many spaces there are total. So between 0 and 1, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. That means it's divided into fourths. Okay, if I wanted to divide it into eighths, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, then 1 would be at the 8th mark. Okay, because 8/8 would be 1 whole. So this would be 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and then 8/8, and then I'd do the same thing in the other direction. I hope that helps with plotting the points on a number line, and please ask questions as needed. Thank you.